Hey folks, another car video for you. So yesterday there was a reporter who interviewed me and asked me, we're doing a story about the match and about transferring, and she wanted my experience and for me to talk to her about what transferring was like and what the application process is and how do you decide. So it kind of brought to light some things that I wanted to discuss, some pitfalls of transferring. Let me tell you, transferring is a last resort. It's not something you want to do. It's not ideal. It's not a power move. It's not a, oh, my program director called me out, or in rounds today they asked me a question I didn't know and they chewed me out and whatever. They pimped me and I didn't like it and I'm unhappy because I've been in this residency program for 2 weeks and I'm going to transfer and I'm going to show them and whatever. Because some people have discussed that with me, like, they just think transferring, it's like a solution to every problem. Like, really, transferring is the last resort. Match day's coming up. I think I looked it up. It's like March 17th. So it's like 30 days away. You don't want to be thinking of transferring, okay? The rule of transferring is, one, you have to follow the NRMP guidelines where you're not even allowed to think about, apply for, look into, interview for any other programs within 45 days of starting at your program. So July 1st, all of July, August, it's September's, mid-September is when you can start even thinking about transferring, legally speaking, based on your contract. And you really have to follow your contract because you don't want to get screwed over later by being barred from the NRMP if there's an investigation against you or something like that. So I really would follow the rules. But let me tell you about some pitfalls of transferring, okay? Number one, there is no standardized application system. There is no ERAS. There is no letter of recommendation upload portal. There is no list of transfer programs with descriptions, with contact information for the residency coordinator, for the program director. There's no track record of transfer success. There's no stats. There's nothing like that. You're out there, you're like an explorer in like the wild, wild west, okay? You're just discovering whatever's out there, okay? You might end up finding like something that you think is an opportunity, a path, an oasis, whatever, and it's a mirage. Or you could really stumble upon a gold mine. It's hit or miss. You really have to take that into consideration. The other thing is, you need the support of your program director for you to transfer. So if you're going to go into a program and then you don't like one or two things, so then you just have a sour attitude and you think, okay, well, I'm just going to ditch. That's not how it's going to work. You need to recruit the support of your program director. They need to write you a letter of support, of good standing. Because just like you there's no standardized application system for the transfers, there's also no standardized CV or way for the program to evaluate you, because you don't have all of your stuff uploaded to an ERAS portal. So it's hit or miss for both, okay? Now, how do you find transfer programs to transfer to? It's a whole nother thing. There's no list of them, right? Programs aren't publishing on their website. Someone just dropped out. We have an open spot. We have turmoil at our program and we have an open spot. No one's publishing that, right? So you have to look and email and call and text any co-residents that you know, any friends, any rotators that you rotated with in the past. You really have to lean on the relationships that you built in your third and fourth year of med school, which is something I did heavily, which was actually the reason I transferred, was because of those relationships. So if you're someone who you think, well, I'm not really going to work on my social skills and my people skills at my current program, I'm not going to build relationships, well, you're not going to be a successful transfer applicant. I can promise you that. The biggest challenge in transferring is maintaining, not burning bridges with your current program, and building new relationships with the program that you're transferring to. In like a week of time, in 2 weeks, you're going to be the new guy. It's a whole nother thing now. You think the grass is greener, right? I'm going to transfer because X, Y, and Z. Again, let me tell you something. Transferring is the last resort. So now, what is it? Let me define what the last resort is. I thought about this. In my case, you only transfer when you try to make the best of the program that you're in. You sincerely try to make the best of the program that you're in, and you're unable to do so, okay? So that means whatever situation you're in, however bad it is, if you're able to make it work, improvise, wing it, somehow look at those circumstances, change your perspective, talk to your program director, talk to your co-residents, talk to your attendings, your coordinator, and make the best of it and say, these are my needs. Can you help me with this? And if they actually say no, all right, or if they actually say, we literally just do not have this resource for you, this resource that you are convinced that you desperately need, then it's time to transfer, okay? So this goes along with this career altering, that staying at your current program is not going to put you in the position, in the career that you want to be, in the specialty that you want to be, or in the field or the academic type of whatever career pathway that you have envisioned for yourself. Okay. Now, I'm talking about the grass is not always greener. It's like, okay, you have no way of evaluating this program that you're transferring to. You don't know. They don't have a list of, these are the transfer applicants who choked in the match and didn't match the first time, and we got them somewhere and we gave them a future. You don't know that, okay? You don't know how toxic or not toxic the other program is, or how supportive they're going to be, or anything like that. And you can do your best kind of guess of talking to people at that program in the like 1 week or 2 weeks that you have to transfer. Because transferring too, I mean, it's not like there's a deadline, right, for you to apply and then a deadline for them to get back to you. No, it's like you can apply, email a coordinator. They say, okay, we can interview you tomorrow. And you have to happen to be off that day or have time or work with your co-residents, right? And it's not going to work if you don't have the support of your program director. And like, well, I need to be off in 1 day's notice, right? And you can't make up something. You can't lie because you're not supposed to lie, because that's wrong. And then they'll give you an offer, and it's like, okay, what? You have like 10 hours to respond? I mean, you're transferring, right? You don't have, there's no contract, there's no guarantee. So all that stuff is a challenge, and it makes transferring really the last resort. Now, let's talk about logistics, pure logistics. Let's say everyone's just great, and everything was so seamless. I had to call my landlord, hey man, I'm leaving. Do you think you can, give me my security deposit back or whatever? He said no. What was I going to do? So I just lost $1,000 that already by transferring. Okay. And then what? I got to drive across the country or wherever to my new program and move and pack. And the ACGME requirements, like you can't take like 2 extra weeks of vacation, right? So you have to do all this stuff in like 2 days, which is literally what I did. Packed in one afternoon, drove across the country. In my case, I went from Florida to Washington, so I drove like 3 days straight, 4 days straight, landed. I was still reapplying to the match, okay? And I was still publishing and doing stuff. I had to present at a conference in Arizona on a Saturday. So I got off, my last shift I think was Sunday, packed, drove across the country. Friday morning, flew from Seattle to Scottsdale, Arizona to Phoenix, presented in Scottsdale Saturday morning, flew back Saturday afternoon to Seattle, showed up at a level 1 trauma center Sunday morning, 5:30 a.m., going to the OR, scrubbing in, working. It's a huge logistical challenge. On top of that, you need to find a new place to live in like a week, okay? I got so lucky. I found someone on Airbnb, I talked to them, and then I convinced them to let me do long term, and they were like, oh, we need to do a background check, whatever. I sent them a screenshot of my FICO credit score from Wells Fargo, and they took it. I just got lucky. I mean, everything fell into place. So let me tell you, transferring is not easy. It's a last resort. Do not go into the match ranking programs and saying, you know what, well, I'm really going to just transfer. No, you're not, okay? You need to rank programs based on what place you could possibly spend, the next 3 or 5 years in. And then if you don't match, God forbid, you don't match, you don't rank programs or make decisions based on, I'm just going to transfer. No. You go to the program that's your best bet. And if after 45 days and after you've completed your NRMP obligation, and that's protective of you, because you don't want to just be someone who goes into a program 2 weeks in and you don't like it and then you give up on it, when really if you had just stayed for 4 weeks or if you had stayed for 2 months, your perspective, and you'd settle in, and you'd fit in better, and you'd find a way to make it work. So go in sincerely, try to make it work. It's the best thing for you. It's the easiest thing for you to do it right the first time. That's just my recommendation. If you're currently in the program and you're thinking of transferring, or if you have any questions about the match, feel free to reach out. Don't forget to like and subscribe.